UFC Saudi Arabia just recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire card. We have officially reached the true downfall of Israel Adesanya, violent loss in the main event, which we'll talk in depth about. Saudi Arabia brought, a bit of a hype train exposure in essence, but to be fair, Michael Venom Page with a clean W over Shara Bullet was pretty impressive. Bullet loses the unbeaten streak, and Vinicius Oliveira's coming out party. I called it, and I'm so happy that he's living up to the hype. I honestly think he's going to be super interesting in the next 15 months amongst like the top 12, top 10 of the bantamweight division. I see him as a tricky fighter to deal with because he's super unorthodox. We'll talk in depth about everything. As my voice is cracking, I'm getting so excited about this. Make sure you guys smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe. And also, I hit 43,000 subscribers, really more than that, on the Fight Companion, and it was popping off over 90,000 views live. I just want to say a massive thank you to the community. I love you guys. Thank you for the support. And let's jump into things. We got to talk about every fight. Fight number one, Hamdi Abdelwahab against Jamal Pogues. Hamdi Dumpty pulled off a controversial decision. I'll tell it as is. It was like relatively close in essence, but I thought that Jamal Pogues probably got the first 2 rounds. You can reach a little bit, and maybe they're giving Hamdi a round, but hard to say. I lean towards Pogues should have won. One judge had it 30-27 Pogues, which I disagree with. I thought Hamdi did well enough late, but I didn't think he stole the fight. But I'm not saying it's the robbery of a lifetime. And I'm not saying that it really matters because it is literally bottom of the barrel heavyweight division fights. Hamdi Abdelwahab is good for, Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi market in the Middle East. Better if he wins. Jamal Pogues, former light heavyweight who just is not on a strict diet. Pogues can be upset, but he didn't do any serious damage. He's touching him with jabs and crosses, peppering shots, ping, 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 pong. How you gonna be like, oh man, I got robbed like that if you didn't really put anything on Abdelwahab besides peppering shots? Like, sure, there were some okay punches, but in essence, there was not these devastating punches where they were so convincing. It was too close. You're in the Middle East, they're in Saudi, and that's it. Hamdi Abdelwahab wins. I guess he's a prospect at heavyweight. He looked worse in this fight than in his debut. I guess he showed glimpses of his abilities in the 3rd round. Himself, he said he was like super nervous leading into the fight. This seemed more nerve-wracking for him than his UFC debut. But 2.5 years off, getting off the PEDs because he tested positive in the past for the anabolics. I guess he had a little anxiety, and you can't really blame him. But controversial win nonetheless. But it's not like the worst robbery ever. Jamal Pogues was peppering him with shots. He wasn't rocking him left and right, and then he got robbed. Is what it is. Don't leave it in the hands of the judges. Or damn, you better put a stamp on each round. Good win for Hamdi on paper, I guess. Not really good win. Mediocre win. Better than losing or having a draw for Hamdi Abdelwahab. Let's move on up. Let's keep moving. Bogdan, Grad, Lucas Alexander. Am I supposed to get angry in the recap show? Yeah, I guess I will. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Lucas Alexander in the first round looks slick and smooth. He dealt with a little chaos early from Bogdan, but then he started finding his flow state, and it was like, yo, Alexander is going to take over this fight. He is skill-wise just simply better than Bogdan. Then he gets rocked early in round 2, wilts, and gets the shit kicked out of him, mounted and ground and pounded into oblivion. This is the proof that you can have skill, but if you match with somebody that has skill and shit, not as much, a little bit, just a little bit of skill, but they have will, you're going to get beaten. Lucas Alexander is not a fighter that you would say has that dog in him, like a lock dog, who we'll talk about later. You'd be like, Lucas Alexander is slick. He's clean with his stand-up. But his gas tank turned out to be pretty bad. His will was non-existent. And Bogdan Grad just simply wanted to be a UFC fighter more than him. He wants this better than him. Lucas Alexander came in at 148.5. A loss, let me pop out the Zin. Shout out to the Zins. A loss to me for Lucas Alexander means imminent release from the UFC. Missing weight 2 times in a row, 2 bad losses in a row. being 1-3 in the UFC with his only win being against Petersen, who's no longer even in the UFC. Yeah, losing to a debuting guy, you're out. Lucas Alexander, he's out. Bogdan Grad, drunken boxing. As he lands the shot, I'm like, he's got a drunken boxing style, but he's tough. He's a savage drunk, and he keeps coming after you. And he pulled it off against Lucas Alexander on grit. Grad's got heart. I got to respect the heart. I think he's going to get checked very soon, but ultimately, the guy is going to fight hard. He's not going to give up on himself even when things are going bad, because he was looking bad in round one. He was falling to his back, failing takedowns, getting dominated. It looked awful. It looked like Lucas Alexander was about to put a 3-round beating on him, but instead, Bogdan Grad turns up, doesn't wilt, doesn't quit, gets it done. Let's keep running. Next one. Ladies went after it. Jasmine Jasudavicius and Mayra Bueno Silva. This is the start of Bueno Silva's Tony Ferguson arc. The L streak seems to be incoming. She fought for the belt against Raquel Pennington. She lost, but she did okay. She lost to Macy Chiasson with the cut stoppage. She looked okay in the first round. They got killed in the second. And then in this fight here, Jasudavicius just literally outdogged her in every sense of the word. She beat her in fighting in every aspect. She was able to touch her up with some strikes, out-wrestle her, defend the tight guillotine attempt that Bueno Silva is known for, and beat her up from top position. So respect to Jasudavicius just simply outworking and outdogging Bueno Silva. Jasudavicius is a workhorse. The girl has incredible cardio, good strike volume, consistent pressure. Look at total strike differentials. Look. 76 thrown to 229. The pace that Jasudavicius puts on women is extremely high level. And she just got a signature win for herself against a former title challenger. This is good for Jasudavicius. She's getting a good jump up the ranks. She's got to get a fight that's somewhat compelling. Her most recent loss was against Tracy Cortez, who I would say is relatively good. She's definitely a good wrestler. She's in an interesting position because I'm looking at the women's top 15, and I'm thinking to myself, is it out of the realm of possibility that she doesn't get a substantial jump? Like, would she not maybe get a fight against Caitlin Shermanara, a.k.a. Chukagan? Because Chukagan's lost some fights. What's she ranked? Chukagan is currently sitting at number 8. Jasudavicius at 12. I could see her getting pushed up the ranks. She could potentially fight against an Amanda Ribas, who's coming off a loss as well. They might even match her up against Vivia Ruja, who's coming off that upset win over Corinne Silva. I think any of those are good matchups, but definitely Jasudavicius deserves to fight up in the ranks after this one. Beating a former title challenger and somebody that was still ranked at number 7 in the women's bantamweight division. That's a marquee win, and I think that big fight is definitely next for Jasudavicius. Impressive. Good performance, man. Broke Bueno Silva. The worry with Bueno Silva, bad weight cut, sure, but is the mind. She loses confidence, and it wasn't fixed at 125. It showed itself. She gets so frustrated. Oh, she's pulling my hair. She's complaining. She's grabbing this. She's doing that. So focused on getting the referee involved in the fight means that this is not in the fight, and that's why she lost, too. I mean, Jasudavicius is better than her, tougher for sure, more dog, but that's another aspect. Let's keep running. Next fight, Terrence McKinney, Damir Hadžović. As I had hoped, and I would say relatively expected, Terrence McKinney put a pace on Hadžović that Damir could just not keep up with in the slightest sense. I mean, holy hell. He got ran out of the room. Terrence McKinney's putting it on him from the jump, throwing shots. 90 strikes thrown in round 1. If you include the ground and pound too, right? It's not all standing strikes. Holy shit. Ferocious onslaught of ground and pound as he gets the mount in the back, elbows, 12-6. He's doing everything. And he just went off with punches, and the ref stepped in and stopped it. Hadžović was done for. He was getting smashed. He was getting touched up on the feet. He got outworked on the ground. Terrence McKinney came to fucking win. Terrence McKinney came into this fight absolutely ready to just blitz and get it done quick because he knew Hadžovic's a slow twitch guy, and he takes too long to start. And Terrence McKinney does what he does. Normally, it's round 1 or bust. Well, he got it done in 2 minutes and 1 second. So, worked out really well for Terrence. And I honestly think Hadžović is done in the UFC. Done in the UFC. He put up no fight whatsoever. He's got beaten in every area. And, I don't know, not fighting in 2.5 years and then losing in 2 minutes here. He's very inconsistent. Most recent win is years ago against Yancy Medeiros, who's not even in the UFC anymore. I think it's time that Damir Hadžović probably gets his walking papers. But McKinney, You got to turn the knob of competition a tad. Don't turn the knob of competition too much, but they got to step him up. I mean, he's got to get a fight against somebody a little bit better. I mean, he can't just keep fighting back-enders in the lightweight division because, you know, that's what he was doing here with Hadžović. Let's be real. Let's be real. He was fighting a back-ender, bottom tier. A bottom-of-the-barrel type fighter. Trying to think, where do we take him after this one? Like, does McKinney get a fight against somebody that's good? Do they give him somebody like an Ignacio Bahamondes? Do they push him to that level? Do they give him somebody like a Thiago Moises? Or do we just keep having him fight guys that are on their way out? Do they give him like a Claudio Puelles? I don't know. I'll see what the UFC decides. Really, it's not up to me, but I wonder where they're going to push him because he's been on the roster a long time. He's got a good amount of fights at this point. This was his 10th UFC fight. 6-4, getting things cooking up a little bit. I know the Ribovics loss killed him, though, so that might halt the momentum. They might give him another little layup type fight to keep building the Terrence McKinney lore because he is impressive as hell. When he fights guys that aren't good, he does real good, and he makes it impressive. He makes it entertaining. He's a good entertainer. Good win for McKinney. He looks solid. Next fight on the card, Shamil Gaziev and Thomas Petersen. Peter Griffin Petersen. Gaziev, I mean, he was worrying me for the first like 2.5 minutes because Thomas Petersen was mixing it up pretty well in boxing with Shamil and like wasn't completely outgunned. He outlanded him. Like it looked like Petersen was quicker on the feet. It was like Shamil was having a hard time landing and Petersen is throwing shots, sitting in the pocket. And I'm like getting a little nervous, like, holy shit, is Petersen about to go hard for 3 rounds and take this decision? Petersen even took Shamil Gaziev down one time. I thought that was impressive. Gaziev got up quick, but the fact that Petersen got to the takedown and got him to, you know, his butt was impressive. But, oh my gosh, the straight right from Gaziev flattens Petersen in beautiful fashion. Petersen knew it was over. He took his mouthpiece out as he went down. He's like, I'm good. Ref jumps right in. Perfectly timed straight shot to the chin of Petersen. Okay? Incredible work. The straight punch was off the chain by Gaziev. He timed it oh so perfectly, man. Petersen, being a southpaw, the straight was there. And I think that Shamil Gaziev showed really good timing. It was a perfect punch. Petersen was getting overconfident because he was doing okay. He was like, okay, I can box with this guy. And then Gaziev just found the kill shot, and that was it. Done. Fight ends. Quick win. First round knockout win for Gaziev. This was supposed to happen. He's the number 14th ranked guy in the world, and he's literally fighting a Thomas Petersen who lost to Jamal Pogues 2 fights ago. He was sleeping on Jamal Pogues' couch, which blows my mind a tad because they fought each other recently. But hey, listen, I guess they hit it off or something. At heavyweight, Gaziev's in a weird position. If Where's Waldo's ready to go, I want to see Where's Waldo and Gaziev tangle. I want to see it soon. If it's not Where's Waldo, maybe it's D. Lima. I like either of those two. I like either of those two for Gaziev next. But don't be shocked if they give him D. Lou. They say, fuck it, Derek Lewis, you want to fight Gaziev? Honestly, Derek Lewis, Gaziev. Gaziev got a little fan lore on his side. There's a chance they do that as a main event in 2025 for a fight night. Or at least something on a main card. They could put it at an Apex. I feel like it has to be, it's not the main event, co-main event. In a fight night, it could be a featured fight. Fuck it. We'll go D. Lou versus Gaziev. But nah, take it back. I have a different idea for D. Lou. I'm gonna stick with D. Lima or Where's Waldo as Mr. Matchmaker. Because thinking about it, there's somebody else at heavyweight on this card who I think deserves a D. Lou fight. And we'll get to that. We'll talk about it in a moment. Okay? Don't worry. But yeah, Petersen, I mean, he tried to strike with somebody that's way better at striking. Should have went to the wrestling more. He was doing okay before getting caught, though. So respect to Petersen's hands. They didn't look bad. He didn't look awful in the fight. Landed some kicks. Did okay with the boxing. But at the end of the day, Gaziev got the job done. Next fight. Featured prelim of the night. Mohamed Naimov, Kaan Ofli. Naimov did what I think was pretty much expected from him. To be able to outstrike Ofli. Out-grapple him too. Stop Ofli's clinch work and takedown attempts. Have good moments, but not get the finish. That's what I thought would happen. even threw a spin kick at, the third round, I believe. It kind of touched Ofli. That was a pretty cool technique. Naimov's striking skills are pretty explosive, but not like crazy counter striking ability or like crazy power. I'd say he has mid power. He's got a little pop on his hands. He touched Ofli a few times, but it's more hand speed. It's more technical ability. He's a well-versed fighter. He's got every area pretty much shirred up, and he was just way too experienced of a veteran at this level. I know Ofli's got a lot of fights, but at this level, I just thought that Naimov's UFC experience, even fighting in Contender Series, would outweigh Ofli's, 2 fights in the House of Tough and, his loss to Myron Santos. Damn, how clean is Myron Santos striking, though? Because he made Ofli look like an amateur out there. Ofli was still trying with Naimov till the end. He was outmatched for sure. He couldn't take him down. He failed on 6 takedowns. He got outworked on the ground, too, taken down twice. Naimov did his thing with the striking, though. He looked good, stopping Ofli's clinch work. For the most part, Ofli's control time that you see on the screen of 3:35, it was pretty much ineffective, I should say. It was ineffective clinch work where he was simply just holding and wasn't really doing anything. So Naimov with the unanimous decision. I thought he got it 30-27. 2 of the judges agreed, 29-28. The right guy won. Naimov, unanimous decision, pulls through against a guy that he was 1,000% supposed to beat. And he did what he had to do. Naimov's decent. It's like Ofli put a decent account for himself, and I got to say, I respect that both of these guys showed up in great shape. They had the gas tank towards the end. They were still mixing it up in round 3, so you have to credit them for conditioning on both fronts, but Naimov definitely better. Let's keep running. Let's jump to the main card. Main card opener. If you guys haven't, smash that like button, and if you're new, subscribe. Main card opener. I don't even want to talk about this fight. This one depressed me. Mike Davis, okay? He decides to pull guard early in round 1. And that is when I said, well, Lock City parlay. Lock, you're going to the ground. Okay? I was like, I had a feeling. As soon as he pulled guard, I said, we're fucked. We're fucked. Granted, late in round 1 when he got the back of Ziam, I'm like, maybe. But Mike Davis looked as clunky as I've ever seen in striking. And he looked as nervous as I've ever seen in a fight in the UFC. Ziam looked so much cleaner on the feet. Davis was trying to throw power shots, but was relatively ineffective. His takedowns were failing him. You can see he shot 8 takedowns. He landed 1. Ziam is out-wrestling him late in the fight. Davis's best moments, I guess, were the final sequences of round 3 where he cut Ziam over his left eye with an elbow in the guard, not the clinch, on the ground. But overall, he got outworked. He got outdogged, outlanded. He got cut up bad with the knee in the second round. That's when I really knew things were going to hell. But him pulling guard was so uncharacteristic. He was going for a lot of leg entanglements, which was surprising to me. I saw Sadiq Yusuf posted. He thinks that Davis came in injured. He fought very weird. I'm not trying to cope too hard. I'm trying to cope a little bit, though. I got to give you guys some bait to work with because I know some savages are going to come with some hammers on me. That was not the Mike Davis that I think any of us anticipated, especially if you were on Team Davis for the W. But even if when you were, picking him over Ziam, or rather you were picking Ziam over him, did anybody anticipate a Mike Davis trying to pull guard like he's Claudio Puelles? He's Mr. Jiu-Jitsu now? Did anybody expect him to look that uncomfortable striking from the mid-range? Like he just had a brawling blitz. That's essentially all he could do. And then he was trying to grapple and he was failing at it. In essence, he got completely exposed, but it could also be he's got Lyme disease. I don't know. We got to now write that down forever. Lyme disease, Davis, he might not show up. I expected a lot more. Now, I need to give the praise to Ziam. Ziam looked really clean in striking. His takedown defense has improved tenfold. He's definitely not a weakling anymore. He's still got the chicken legs, but the dude has gotten a lot stronger in grappling exchanges. And to be able to stop Davis from bullying him on the ground, I was impressed by that. This is not the Faraz Ziam that got tapped in the first round by Terrence McKinney. This is a Faraz Ziam that's evolved his game, become relatively well-rounded. And I would say at, the young age, what is he, 27, 28? He's a very interesting player in the lightweight division with his frame and his technicality. He reminds me of Dan Hooker, honestly. He gives Dan Hooker-esque vibes. The French Dan Hooker is upon us. Doesn't have the same aura as Dan Hooker yet, but he's got that type of slickness. He's long. I like Fares Ziam's ability a lot more after seeing him win this one than I ever have before. Let me look real quick at the division. Because if we're talking lightweight, he's in an interesting predicament here. It's the most stacked fucking weight class. He's 27 years old, and he's close to top 15. He's real close to top 15. I mean, it's not out of the realm of the possibility to see him fight somebody ranked next. Ziam versus Tarantula Turner, Jalen. That's not crazy. Ziam, Ludovic Klein. Potential on that one. Ziam, Ludovic Klein intrigues me. That could be an interesting fight. Honestly, I got to fucking probably favor Ziam there. I got to stop doubting the man. I'm a Ziam doubter, man. Certified Ziam doubter. If the screen's doing something weird here, you guys got to let me know. I got no idea. Yeah, it's probably blacking it out, but it's all good. It's all good. I'm flipping tabs over here. Respect. 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 Respect to Ziam. Good win. He gave Davis. I'm disappointed about it. You guys can see. I like Mike Davis. I really believed in the game. And shit, I was wrong. Congrats to Fares Ziam. Take the L. Take the L on the chin. But here is where the W turned up. So it's all good. Things got a lot better here. Things got much better here. Vinicius Oliveira outdogged Said Nurmagomedov. Oh, I love this outcome. I had Vinicius Oliveira. My favorite dog on the card, damn, son. Vinicius Oliveira's got that dog in him for real. Oliveira, in the first round, had a little bit of trouble, especially early with the slickness of Said Nurmagomedov. He had to deal with craziness. There was a lot of grappling exchanges between both of them. And it was a pretty wild round number one, but I definitely thought Said looked cleaner and landed the better shots and deserved the first round. But round two, the chaos factor of Oliveira starts kicking in. The dude has unreal will, and his grit is crazy. He really is lock dog. The dude has the dog in him, beyond belief. Vinicius Oliveira is a savage. Oliveira doesn't back down from a fight. He keeps coming forward. He keeps throwing hard shots. He keeps trying, even in the grappling. Defending takedowns, fighting out of, guillotine attempts, not even letting them happen, really. Pressing Nurmagomedov, wearing on him, putting a high pace on him. Oliveira won the second round, but not without some woes. I was thinking to myself after round two, I'm like, damn, the way he just laid down in the corner, I hope he gets a second win because, this is going to be a hellish round three. I knew Said was tired, but Oliveira seemed just as tired. But it's not about getting tired. It's about how you fight when you're tired. Said tends to wilt, tends to give up on himself. That's something I noticed in the Martinez fight. And then after the fight, him having his hands on his knees. Oliveira is all gas, no brakes. Keeps coming forward and beats Said Nurmagomedov's ass in round three. Even shot for a Darce choke. Threw some ground and pound on him. Hit him with some big shots. Threw some wild ones. Nurmagomedov was still throwing back. It's not like he was just giving in. But overall, it was survival mode for Said and showcase time for Vinicius Oliveira. And I think we all have found out at bantamweight, Vinicius Oliveira is the hottest prospect. We thought it was, it's Peyton Talbot. That's what everybody thought. Nah, it's Vinicius Oliveira because he has literally beaten another sick prospect in Bernardo Sopai, Ricky Simone, a long-time and capable vet, and Said Nurmagomedov, an absolutely crafty vet with unreal kickboxing. This win was massive for Vinicius Oliveira. Career-changing. He's truly on the trek to do something big. I really feel like he's on that path. I'm looking at rankings right now. I got to see. What do we got? Bantamweight division, Vinicius Oliveira putting on the showcase. He's 29. He's so young. He just beat somebody really good in Said, who realistically is just not even a tab below top 15. He's top 15. Ricky Simone, who's top 20. Rankings debut form next. Rankings debut form next. Do we go Marcus McGee, Vinicius Oliveira? That would be such a sick fight. Marcus McGee and Vinicius Oliveira is something that I would want to see. That's throwing two guys that are insanely good prospects on the come up against one another. But, McGee's in his 30s. Oliveira's got 25 pro fights now? I think you can match them up against one another. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's actually a dope fight if they don't want to go that route, though. If they want to, maybe give him somebody else, another name in that top 15, Amin Zahabi, he's ranked at number 13. That could also be a pretty dope fight. I'd be interested in seeing how the Amin Zahabi fight would go because Zahabi's rolling right now. 5 wins in a row since 2021. He hasn't lost. I like the idea of Oliveira getting a fight against a ranked opponent in bantamweight. And I think between Zahabi and Marcus McGee, sick options. And I hope that the UFC obliges and gives him what I think he deserves after beating somebody as good as Saeed. Now, he did call out Umar Nurmagomedov after the fight, and I love his enthusiasm. I love his mentality, but not yet. Not yet. Not yet. He needs to earn his stripes a bit more. He needs to at least get a ranked win before they give him Umar Nurmagomedov. But some people say, oh, Umar only had 1 ranked win, and then he fought for a title. Can't Vinicius' first ranked fight be against a former title challenger? I don't think so. Vinicius needs at least 1 more. But he's definitely on the fast track. He's definitely the prospect to watch at bantamweight, and keep a close eye on him because 2025, I think we have a breakout for Vinicius Oliveira. It's already started, but now it's going to be breaking into the top 15. Excellent work by Vinicius. Sergey Pavlovich, Jairzinho Rozenstruik. This fight was a showcase of an evolved Pavlovich. As much as I know most of you guys hated this fight, we have to be real. Sergey Pavlovich came in off of a 2-fight losing streak, and he came in leaner, 10 pounds off his frame than ever before. His abs were showing, and he showcased a more wide array of skills. Striking looked good per usual, but he showcased the wrestling offensively a bit, where a lot of people just think of Pavlovich as a boxer. He's got a crafty and well-rounded game. He can definitely wrestle too. Knockout power was shown. He rocked Rozenstruik a couple of times, and he actually ate some good punches from Rozenstruik as well, but not anything near as significant as he landed on Rozenstruik. But what he did is when he would hurt Rozenstruik, he timed the takedowns. He garnered control time. 2 takedowns after catching Rozenstruik with big shots. 6+ minutes of control time. You look at the total strikes. He landed 145 to Rozenstruik landing only 23. Big difference in the amount of strikes and a lot of ground strikes for Pavlovich, getting on top of Rozenstruik and just peppering him with shots. But his boxing looked good too. You could tell that these two had worked together in the past with the way they respected each other's game, but Pavlovich was just too good. Sergey Pavlovich got a quality win, and he's still amongst the elites. It's easy to write him off, but I don't think losing to Volkov and Aspinall is, career ending. I still think he's definitely in his prime. He's only 32 years of age, which at heavyweight is super young. It's like the true prime at heavyweight maybe starts at 32. You can even argue later for some. I'm trying to think where we bring him. This fight wasn't the most entertaining. Now, Jailton Almeida has been calling out Ciryl Gane for a while, but if they're not going to do Jailton Almeida versus Ciryl Gane, I like the idea of Gane Pavlovich a lot. Gane Pavlovich is a fight that's intriguing because the back pocket trick of Pavlovich is the takedowns. Now you could say, oh, but recently Pavlovich lost to, Volkov, who Ciryl Gane beat. Did Ciryl Gane really beat Volkov? He won a robbery decision. And I think Pavlovich and Gane is a really cool stylistic matchup. I think they could potentially do Jailton Almeida versus Volkov as a true #1 contender fight. And even though on paper it's a loss for Volkov to Gane, I think that Jailton and Volkov could be the truest essence of a #1 contender matchup at heavyweight because Volkov should have won that fight. And then you go Pavlovich versus Gane, which is a fight that keeps, both of them relevant. We'll see what the UFC decides. But I like the idea of striker versus striker, Pavlovich Gane, because I know Almeida's begging for that Gane fight, but let's be real. Almeida's probably getting him down and strangling him. When you think of Almeida versus Volkov, it's like, Volkov's grappling defense isn't bad these days, and he's long. And when you think of Gane and Pavlovich, it's not like, okay, Gane's just getting ran over on the ground, but he could. Pavlovich could time some takedowns and, do something similar to Volkov, which he showcased the grappling later in the fight, and his power option is huge. That is a massive main event they can do in France this year. The UFC is definitely going back to France for a fight night. Gane Pavlovich heavyweight main event it's still a freaking needle mover, regardless of Kaan getting the controversial win last time. That's what I would like to see. And I think Volkov, Almeida in a #1 contender fight. To line up the heavyweights in the right matchups, assuming Jones and Aspinall happens. If not, then monkey wrench and all those plans. I like Kaan versus Pavlovich a lot. I do. A lot. We'll see what the UFC decides. I'm always excited to find out. Now, for Rozenstruik, you already know the fight. Rozenstruik versus Derek Lewis. Please. 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 Can we finally see it? Please, UFC. Can you just book Rozenstruik versus Derek Lewis? Why not? Put the two power punchers against each other. Please do it. Put the two Black Beasts against one another. They can fight for the nickname. Biggie Boy versus Black Beast is savage as is. Please, 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 please. Put these savages against one another. I want to see the heavy-handed monsters throw down. I hope so. We'll find out. Pavlovich, good win. Clear W. And I think he earned the Gaan fight for me. Let's keep running. Let's talk co-main event. This right here was truly, I think, the showcase of simply how difficult Michael Venom Page is to hit. 8 head strikes landed for Shara Bullet in an entire 15-minute fight. He got hit, Venom Page, 8 times to the head. Unreal distance management, unreal timing on his straight and his head movements out of this world. Michael Venom Page is incredible with this striking. He's incredible. Shara Bullet's really good too. He ripped some nice low kicks. He dropped even some body kicks, but he couldn't catch Page up top. Couldn't hurt Michael Venom Page. And Page was able to outpoint him over the 3 rounds. You can give Shara round 3. That's about it. Round 1 and 2, definitely Page. But round 3 was close enough that it could definitely go Page. I don't think the 30-27s are horrible scorecards. I like the 29-28. But definitely Michael Venom Page won. And I was wondering if there would be maybe some, Saudi Arabian bias. But there was not. Fair decision. Michael Venom Page got it over Shara Bullet. The Dagestan savage himself did not take a W home. Where Saudi Arabia is like a, second home for the Dagestan fighters. Shara Bullet, he's still good. And it's just, Page is so special. His stand-up is unmatched, man. It's just so fucking unique. To time him with clean shots is incredibly difficult to do. I think this win for MVP makes the striking of Gary's look better. Because Gary struggled on the feet with Page, but it's just because Page is elusive as they get. Shara Bullet, one of the most hyped up middleweight striking prospects, couldn't get to him either. Didn't matter about Page, being the former welterweight, or more so the welterweight. He's saying he's going back down to 170. He's a skinnier guy at 185. He's going to go to 70, though. He's not going to stay at 85. Because I don't think it's that hard of a weight cut to 70, right? There was some visible body fat on Venom Page, as opposed to when he's at 70, he's definitely more cut up. I'm trying to think of who's next for Page. The Wonder Boy fight is just, it screams fight you have to see for, I don't know, the history books. Like, you have to make the two karate specialists against one another happen. And I get it. It might be a very boring technical 5-round fight, or it might be a very boring 3-round fight where there's minimal strikes landed and just Page with some counters. But I still am curious to witness it, and I would much rather see Page fight Wonder Boy as opposed to Page fighting somebody with really good wrestling. Like, if you give him Sean Brady, I wouldn't like that. I don't want that. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's what they should do for Venom Page. They should give him somebody who's, well-versed in essence in Wonder Boy, who's ranked still at number 11. Page is number 15 at welterweight, so it's a step up as far as the rankings go. They could go a crazy direction, though. They could do Page Prates, but I don't feel like they risk Prates against Page, because what happens, right? The most terrifying striking prospect in the weight class gets outpointed against Michael Venom Page for like 3 or 5 rounds, and then what? They lose a prospect that they're building again. Another one, Shara goes down, but now we got one at welterweight going down that actually looks like he could threaten the top guys. If you don't include wrestling, like, Page is beating everybody. Like, pretty much. I mean, Prates would be the one that you're like, well, Prates striking could give him trouble because Prates is really dangerous and powerful. But outside of Prates, even Wonder Boy, I think Page is picking him apart. Page is too explosive and athletic, and he's too primed. I think he's more in his prime than Wonder Boy. you got to beat Page by taking him down. Striking with him just seems like a bad idea. So I guess that's where the intrigue in this Prates fight is. I just don't know if the UFC pulls the trigger on it. But that Prates fight intrigues me. Because Prates is a terrifying finisher. Page is like the king of the flow state. Seems like a reach, but Venom Page Prates, like, let's just find out. The UFC probably won't do it, though. They'll probably go Venom Page Wonder Boy. Battle of karate specialists. You have to see it. It's a once-in-a-lifetime fight. UFC put it together. I doubt that we're going to see this style again of somebody like a Wonder Boy or a Venom Page, right? Especially with this evolved version of MMA. These guys are like the last of a dying breed. I mean, I hope somebody can copy Page's style and have success in the UFC. It's just, you don't see it in general in MMA for the most part. To now see it, in another legacy, this next era when the karate base is becoming more and more uncommon, we will be probably unlikely to witness anybody like Page ever again in fighting. So I want to see the Wonder Boy Page fight just for the MMA community, just for the purist. So what if it's not entertaining? I don't need it to be a dirty dog fight. Put some bangers on the card, but just have those two match up in a true caliber clash of highest class striking. The true, like, gentlemen's karate striking specialist against one another. UFC, please book it. And let's jump to the main event. Now, for sure, actually, I just say something real quick. Shara Bullet still look decent. I don't know what's next for him, but I don't think he lost that much stock. It's just MVP's fucking sensational. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button too. Nasruddin Imavov knocked out Israel Adesanya in the second round and looked really good in the final sequences of the fight. In round one, Adesanya was having moments. I thought Adesanya won the first round. He landed more, but Imavov never feared Adesanya. For the most part, he was keeping consistent pressure on Izzy, and he even landed a really mean uppercut that forced Izzy backwards and them to exchange in a striking triad of bombs. And actually, Izzy caught Imavov with a hook in that exchange as well. But I thought Adesanya definitely got the first round, and he was looking like his prime self. Then in round two, little pressure. It's quick, though. Little pressure from Imavov. Izzy's like trying antics. He's pointing down. He's like, come on. Wants to have Imavov come to him and bang. And he makes mistakes. These little mistakes. He's trying to be a meme. These little mistakes. Imavov lands the perfect right hand that drops Israel Adesanya against the cage. Izzy goes down. Imavov lands the death uppercut that drops Adesanya really to his stomach as he was on his knees against the cage. And then bit of ground and pound. Izzy goes out again. Ref stops it. Initially, I felt early stoppage. But on the rewatch, you can see Adesanya go lifeless on more than one occasion. If a fighter goes unconscious, normally the referee is going to step in. Even though Izzy seemed quick to bounce up to his feet, he was in a bad spot. He was hurt bad. Could they have let it go a little longer? Goddard's, bro, they're going for Goddard's head. Adesanya is pissed off. Goddard's the early stoppage for him. Could they have let it go? I would have rather seen Adesanya take 3 more shots to know for sure. I know he's 35. I know he's got over 100 fights in combat sports, but I would rather have seen just a tad bit longer to give Izzy the chance that a champion deserves. But you take nothing away from Nasruddin Imavov. He knocked out Adesanya. The fight was stopped. Izzy went unconscious. The stoppage is fair, but I think you could have gave it a few more seconds. But I'm not going to go as far as to say it's absolutely an early stoppage. It's a fair stoppage. Could have gone a little bit longer. You could have gave Izzy 2 more seconds. 2 more seconds. But he did go out on multiple occasions, seemed to bounce back to life and then get up quickly and seemed to be okay. But he was getting wobbled. He was getting rocked. He got knocked out. He definitely went out twice. So I think Imavov's win is fair. I think it's fair. It's a fair stoppage, I'll say. Imavov looked good, man. Timing looked insane. And what he did in round 1, which I liked a lot, even though he's losing a lot of the striking battles early, what I liked a lot is he was mixing and wrestling, even unsuccessful mixing and wrestling. The fact that he forced Adesanya to think about the takedowns also changed Adesanya's comfortability in striking, which I thought could be a key to victory, and it certainly was. I'm happy. I picked Imavov pulling through. I'm happy with the pick being right. Do I feel for Israel Adesanya? Absolutely, man. I've watched Izzy's whole run. And it's crazy because it's like it's over now, right? This is his Anderson Silva era where the dominant middleweight champion starts to fall off. He's lost 3 straight, but against 3 badass fighters. It's not like he's gone out and lost to some, mid-ranked guy. He said he's going to take some time before deciding whether that, he's going to fight for another time or call it a career. I think he should do that. 35. By the time he gets back in there, probably 36. I say we see at least one more from Adesanya. I don't really think he wants to go out on a 3-fight losing streak. Now, when I think about Imavov, though, he just got the biggest win you can get outside of a title fight at middleweight. He just beat Israel Adesanya. And he beat him super impressively, knocking Israel Adesanya out. Beat him quicker than anyone before. Does Imavov jump the line for a title fight with a win like this? On paper, you would think so. But in actuality, the hype of Khamzat Chimaev is going to be too hard to deny. But Imavov's middleweight resume exceeds what Khamzat Chimaev has done at middleweight, without a doubt. It just seems to me that the hype of Khamzat, the destructive win over Whitaker, puts him in line for the belt next. Over Imavov, who genuinely his probably biggest flaws, he doesn't speak any English. I swear to you, if he spoke a little English and he could make some badass call-outs with his accent, he'd probably get more hype. When you look at the middleweight rankings, you got Duplessis champ, and then you got Strickland fighting for the title. Khamzat Chimaev, if you're on Tapology, they got him as number 1. Tapology rankings don't make sense. Khamzat is ranked number 3. Adesanya was ranked number 2. The win for Imavov at number 5, beating number 2, is massive, though. It's massive. But I still think that Chimaev, he jumps to 2, and then Imavov jumps to 3. Adesanya will fall to 4 and Whitaker to 5. I don't feel as though the line is going to be jumped, especially with the hype around Khamzat versus the winner of DDP versus Strickland already being a thing. And honestly, the fact that most of us fans, and you can let me know in the comments if you disagree, but most of us really wanted to see Khamzat DDP instead of Strickland DDP too. I thought the way he ran over Rob Whitaker was getting him put right into the title shot. But instead, he's going to wait and then fight the winner. But Imavov had such a big win here, it just becomes an odd situation that on paper, the Imavov resume demands a title fight. But Khamzat Chimaev killing Robert Whitaker and just having the Khamzat lore on his side probably, puts him in the title picture more so, and being undefeated. Imavov's got 4 high-tier wins in a row. Roman Dolidze, who's ranked, Jared Cannonier, who's ranked, Brendan Allen, who's ranked, and now Israel Adesanya. 4 ranked middleweights, with the lone recent loss, the Sean Strickland fight, which was a weird short notice circumstance where he was fighting Strickland at light heavyweight. Strickland stepped in on short notice, but Imavov weighed 194 and Strickland 204. 10-pound weight difference, and Imavov still went 5 rounds, and he put a pretty good showing for himself. It's just hard to jump the line over Khamzat. When you look, Robert Whitaker, then before that, Usman. Before that, Kevin Holland. Before that, Burns. And before that, Leach. Last 4 wins, the Usman is a legacy win, but it was a short notice Usman. The Whitaker win is a legacy win as well. The Holland win doesn't mean much. The Burns win, it's 2022. It's a long time ago, even the Holland fight. The activity rate of Nasruddin Imavov and the fact that if he becomes champion, we know for a fact he'll fight more often than Khamzat, or at least on paper it seems like he would, does draw a bit of interest for him to jump the line, but I think the fan lore for Khamzat is too much. The UFC's got to go with stardom. At the end of the day, what you've done on paper matters, but this is still a business. And in the business side of things, Khamzat Chimaev is a freaking needle mover. Imavov is on his way. Imavov just beat Adesanya. On paper, he's a terrifying challenge for Dricus du Plessis. If du Plessis is champion, Imavov is a really hard fight for him. With the striking distance advantage, the hand speed, the grappling defensive abilities, Imavov is a really hard fight for Dricus du Plessis. Another name in the mix, Caio Borralho. But do you match Imavov, Borralho, when Borralho hasn't gotten a marquee win like that? I doubt it's Imavov Whitaker. And then what, Khamzat? Probably not. Imavov finds himself kind of in a logjam spot. Could end up fighting the loser of Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. That's a possibility. I don't know. I mean, if you want to jump the line with Imavov, then you do Adesanya versus Khamzat Chimaev, and you force Adesanya to fight the terrifying, unbeaten middleweight on the come-up with the gnarliest, jaw-breaking sub of Rob Whittaker. We give Adesanya a matchup that definitely is unfavorable for him. I don't know about that one. I feel like Imavov's stuck on standby as a backup. That's what I'm thinking. We'll see. Now, for Adesanya, he's in a weird spot, man, because he already beat Whittaker twice. They won't fight again. You could say Caio Barallo versus Izzy makes sense, but Izzy on a 3-fight losing streak, and now he fights Barallo, who's surging? Again, you use him as the nail? It's like the only way, though. What do we run back Paulo Costa? No, I'm joking. Also looking at something interesting, though. Jared Cannonier is fighting Gregory Rodriguez. If RoboCop won that fight against Cannonier, this is a stretch, but Adesanya RoboCop would be a pretty badass fight. I'd be interested in seeing it. I'd be really interested. But RoboCop got to get through Cannonier. I know Cannonier's a little bit past the hill, but I still got to worry about that RoboCop chin. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't made a pick for that fight yet. What an interesting spot. The middleweight division is actually popping right now with the new generation starting to really make waves. Imavov, new generation guy, right? Caio Barallo, new generation guy. Khamzat, you can say arguably new generation guy. Dricus du Plessis, I mean, he's only 31. He's kind of the new generation guy in essence. He's like right somewhere in the middle. Damn. Middleweight division's amazing. I'm looking at it. This is the best middleweight division we've had in a long time. I mean, you look at the top guys in middleweight. du Plessis, Strickland, Khamzat, Imavov, Barallo, Adesanya, Whittaker. Fluffy Hernandez on the come up. If he beats Brendan Allen, he's right away in the mix. And shit, a Fluffy Hernandez win, and then him fighting a Caio Barallo could be insane. But I think they might do Barallo Whittaker. Adesanya chills for a while. Imavov on standby. Who knows? They need somebody ready to go and fill in. It could be Imavov for sure with what he's done. Damn. Imavov knocks out Adesanya. I'm saying Izzy doesn't retire, though. Izzy does another one. He's going to at least fight one more time. What does he do? Does he scramble and try to move to light heavyweight? Probably not. I guess he lets the middleweight division play out a bit, see how he feels, and then signs another contract, and let's get him on another fight night main event. Another 5-round fight night main event. Maybe we take him to Saudi Arabia again. Abu Dhabi next time. I like Izzy fighting in the Middle East. Unfortunately, he didn't get to perform, but it's because Imavov's that monster. Good win for Nasruddin Imavov. As far as the predictions, I'm pretty happy. Outside of Lock City getting fucking... The Dog City savagery at least came through. At least Lock Dog came through. We won with Imavov at the top, underdog main event pick. Lost with Shara Bullet to beat Page. Expected after the fact, right? It is what it is. Won with Pavlovich over Rozenstruik, money call. Won with Oliveira as the favorite underdog over Saeed. Lost with Lock Davis, no lock. Key is, I left the key out. Call him the fade. Lost with Davis to Ziam. Uncharacteristic Davis, but a clean Ziam. Won with Naimov over Ofli. Good confident pick. Gaziev over Petersen. Good confident pick. McKinney over Hadžović. Good confident pick. Lost with Bueno Silva to Jasudavicius. Understandable worrisome ladies call. Lost with Alexander to Grad. Technique but no will is what it is. Won controversially with Hamdi with relative confidence over Pogues. And also Pavlovich, of course, was a confident call. So decent record. 7-4. 1 win. 1 win and 1 loss. 1 win, 2 loss. 2-2. 3-2, 4-2, 4-3, 5-3, 6-3, 6-4, 7 wins, 4 losses, but with a money main event prediction. I'm happy about that. We're getting the main event streak going for 2025, and I'm excited for UFC 312. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's recap show and the whole week's worth of content. The 43,000 subs has me buzzing right now. I love you guys. I appreciate all of you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Smash the like button on your way out. If you're new, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on. I got daily live streams twice a day, Monday to Friday, with the lunchtime live, Monday to Friday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. Tune in. Thank you guys for watching. W's in the comments. You got nothing to say, but definitely let me know your thoughts. Is Izzy retiring? Is it over for Adesanya? Is it the end of Izzy? I want to hear from you guys. And does Imavov get the next title fight? Or is it Hamza? I want to know. Thank you, people. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.